Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think would win when Doc Samson and the Thing face off? A confrontation between gamma intellect and rock-solid power. Doc Samson, whose real name is Leonard Samson, is a brilliant psychologist who also possesses superhuman strength thanks to exposure to gamma radiation. With his distinctive green hair and massive build, he has strength, durability, and endurance far beyond that of an ordinary human. What sets Doc Samson apart is his intellect and deep understanding of his opponent's psychology. He does not rely solely on brute force, but analyzes, reads, and exploits mental weaknesses in combat, turning every battle into a strategic chess match. The Thing, also known as Ben Grimm, is the heart of the Fantastic Four, a hero with a gigantic rocky body and physical strength that is almost impossible to shake. His stone-like skin allows him to withstand extremely powerful attacks, from cosmic impacts to punches with devastating force. Ben Grimm is famous for his unbreakable will, his never-give-up spirit, and his vast combat experience earned through countless brutal battles. In this matchup, Doc Samson holds the advantage in intelligence, tactical ability, and adaptable gamma strength, while the Thing represents pure, relentless, and overwhelming physical power in direct combat. Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much for your support. Leonard Doc Samson is one of the most distinctive gamma-related characters. His power comes from the same energy source that created Bruce Banner, but at a lower level, enough to transform his body without completely erasing his sense of self. Leonard Samson was infused with energy that granted him a massive physique and strength comparable to the Hulk. At his peak, he was capable of lifting more than 70 tons. Over the years, he grew even stronger, though the true upper limit of his power remains unknown. Samson possesses permanently massive muscles, his iconic green hair, and extraordinary strength that once measured in the tens of tons and continued to increase. His regenerative ability allows him to remain standing after severe injuries, making Samson a highly resilient warrior on the battlefield. As time passed, Samson's fate took increasingly unpredictable turns. He was killed multiple times and returned through the green door, a haunting cycle of life and death. Samson became like someone trapped between two worlds, unable to fully leave existence behind. However, the true turning point came when the leader manipulated the green door, cutting off Samson's familiar path of resurrection. Unable to return to his original body, Samson was forced to inhabit the body of Walter Langowski, also known as Sasquatch, who had just died. This strange fusion created a far more formidable being than ever before. With Sasquatch's immense physical strength, exceptional durability, and rapid healing, Samson now resembles a living gamma storm, both tragic and ferocious. Simon Williams stands as clear proof that a character can completely transform over time. He gradually rose into the ranks of the most powerful entities, with strength considered on par with Sentry and only slightly below Thor or Hercules in terms of raw physical power. This is no rumor. Simon once choked Red Hulk until he lost consciousness, a feat that demonstrates a level very few can reach. Simon's body is no longer flesh and bone, but is composed entirely of ionic energy. This makes him a nearly immortal being. Time leaves no mark on him. Aging has permanently stopped, and injuries are rare, and when they do occur, they quickly fade away. Simon does not experience fatigue and can maintain peak combat condition without rest, like a living energy machine that never runs dry. His speed and reflexes surpass those of most other superhumans. His ability to sense surrounding energy allows him to read the flow of the battlefield, and even manipulate energy to a certain extent. Attacks fired from his hands and even from his gaze carry terrifying destructive power. After his most recent resurrection, he also gained the ability to fly, with speeds reaching nearly 800 miles per hour and still continuing to increase. Simon's vision can pierce multiple spectrums of light, and his hearing is sharper even than Wolverine's, turning him into a being that is both majestic and overwhelming, a true embodiment of power. The strength of Doc Samson is often placed on the same level as Grey Hulk, also known as Joe Fixit, when he is calm and in full control of his emotions. At this threshold, Samson is capable of confronting even the most terrifying gamma entities head-on without appearing inferior. However, the key difference between him and the Hulk lies in rage. While Hulk grows stronger the angrier he becomes, Doc Samson does not receive that same amplification from adrenaline. As a result, when Hulk loses control, Samson gradually falls behind in terms of raw power. Even so, Samson's mobility remains extremely impressive. He can leap great distances both horizontally and vertically, easily clearing massive obstacles on the battlefield, though these feats still cannot match those of Hulk or Abomination. In a few rare moments, Samson has actually defeated Hulk, usually through strategy, clarity of mind, and flawless timing. Those victories did not come from explosive strength, but from Samson's clear understanding of his own limits and his ability to exploit them wisely. This balance between power, intelligence, and resolve is what makes Doc Samson such an unpredictable opponent. Not the strongest, but always dangerous enough that no one dares to underestimate him. During the superhuman Civil War, Doc Samson chose to stand with the heroes, directly confronting the Secret Squad as tensions spread across the entire superhuman community. Not long after, Hulk returned to Earth, fueled by rage toward the Illuminati, the ones who had exiled him into space. Amid the chaos, Samson served on the front lines, evacuating civilians in New York, trying to minimize casualties before being forced to face Hulk and the Warbound. The battle was brutal, and Samson was ultimately defeated and imprisoned by the Warbound, leaving behind a rare sense of helplessness in his otherwise proud life. After the Skrull invasion, Samson continued to play a vital psychological role by leading support sessions for those who had been replaced, helping them confront their lingering fear and doubt. Aboard Air Force One, he attempted to expose the full extent of Norman Osborn's scheme within Thunderbolts Mountain to the new president. However, the plan was cut short when the new Thunderbolts hijacked the aircraft, seized the evidence, and implanted Samson with a gamma device that caused his rage and power to erupt like the Hulk. During the Chaos War, Samson was among the dead who were resurrected, only to fall once again, leaving behind the tragic echo of a hero who always fought for the truth, even when the price was his own life. I truly hope you will subscribe to the channel. It helps us tremendously, and you are absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. Now let us talk about The Thing. Benjamin J. Grimm, known to the entire world as The Thing, has always been ranked among the most powerful beings on the planet. Only a small handful of names such as Juggernaut, Hulk, or Sentry can surpass him in terms of raw physical strength. What makes the Thing truly terrifying is not energy manipulation or magic, but purely his physical power. From his earliest days, he was already classified in the high strength tier, yet that was only the beginning of a long journey. Over the years, through relentless training and the constant evolution of his body, the Thing's strength has been pushed to ever greater heights. From relatively modest early comparisons, he steadily climbed higher and higher on the scale, eventually being placed at the maximum level in current strength classifications. These figures are not meant for boasting, but simply to illustrate the extraordinary evolution of his power over time. The Thing's feats stand as the clearest proof of his might. He once stopped a massive spacecraft as it was leaving Earth, lifted an enormous offshore oil rig amid a raging sea, and held a multi-story building weighing tens of thousands of tons, long enough to return it safely to its proper position. Each accomplishment not only showcases unmatched strength, but also reflects the unyielding spirit of a hero who stands firm when the world itself is on the brink of collapse. The Thing also possesses countless moments that leave both allies and enemies in awe. He once held the main support cables of a colossal bridge for an extended period, bearing a load of tens of thousands of tons while standing firm like a living stone wall. Beyond that, the Thing was strong enough to restrain a pile-driving machine designed with power capable of piercing an entire planet. In underwater environments, where many heroes are at a disadvantage, the Thing still proved his stature by confronting Namor head-on. Against the raw and ferocious strength of the Submariner, he not only endured but often gained the upper hand, turning the battle into a tense and evenly matched clash. Even more astonishing, even when operating below his normal strength, the Thing was still capable of delivering a punch that knocked back a charging savage Hulk, causing the raging giant to stagger. He even managed to draw blood from the Green Scar and once brought down the immortal Hulk, one of the most terrifying incarnations of the Green Goliath. Though often regarded as weaker than the Hulk, the Thing is consistently portrayed as a true rival, a symbol of iron will and an indomitable fighting spirit. The Thing is the embodiment of pure strength and unshakable resolve. He can even perform the famous thunderclap technique traditionally associated with the Hulk. With a single powerful clap of his hands, the Thing can generate shockwaves violent enough to stun even beings as powerful as Magneto. In one brutal confrontation, he nearly defeated Wondar and once carried a deep penetration bomb directly into the brain of Ego the Living Planet, demonstrating reckless courage and absolute decisiveness. In one-on-one combat, the Thing does not hesitate to trade blows with Red Hulk, and he is willing to exchange direct punches with the Silver Surfer in a fierce and explosive showdown. He once held a multi-story building weighing around 30,000 tons as it was on the verge of collapse, then returned it to a safe state. The Thing's combat power is even sufficient to rival Dr. Doom when Doom wields cosmic power, defeat the God of Sleep, and hold Miracle Man at bay in intense battles. Although he has clashed with the Hulk many times and often ended up on the losing side, the Thing has never been considered weak. Each of his hands can generate immense crushing force, enough to crush a tank like scrap paper, when necessary. The Thing can even lift an enormous stone pillar and turn it into a weapon, proving the raw and fearless strength of an icon who never retreats. The Thing always makes the battlefield tremble whenever he unleashes his power. A single punch slammed into the ground can create shockwaves, powerful enough to fling multiple Inhumans warriors from their positions, turning the surface into a wave of destruction. In close quarters combat, he can slam an opponent down and smash them straight into a massive stone statue. The Thing's strength and control are also clearly shown through actions that appear reckless at first glance. He once hurled Johnny Storm far away so that a nova explosion would not endanger anyone nearby. When attacked by a gigantic monster, the Thing used his bare hands to hold its jaws apart, resisting a horrifying bite at the brink of life and death. He can tear down a streetlight, destroy a car in an instant, or rip apart the upgraded armor of Crimson Dynamo as if it were nothing more than thin metal. In confrontations with top-tier entities, the Thing does not waver. A direct punch colliding with Hyperion's fist was enough to cause his opponent real pain. He tears through blast doors, squeezes Reed Richards tightly enough to make even the Elastic Man uncomfortable, and crushes Dr. Doom's helmet in the palm of his hand. The Thing can leap to the top of the Baxter building, land directly onto a monster to crush it beneath his tremendous weight, and overpower Dr. Doom, the android, and Rick Jones wearing the Captain Marvel armor. Ben Grimm personally possesses strength of approximately 85 tons, on par with names such as Sasquatch, Sunder, or Rhino. At this level, he is clearly a formidable powerhouse, yet he still has not reached the highest tier dominated by Thor, Wonder Man, or Colossus. Even Hercules, bearing the title Prince of Power, is often underestimated compared to his true capabilities. However, this perspective inadvertently causes Ben Grimm himself to be overlooked. When he first appeared, the Thing was once called the strongest hero on Earth. At that time, only two names were considered superior to him. Hulk was seen as a monster or an anti-hero, while Thor was a god who did not truly belong to the human world. If they are removed from a purely Earth-based comparison, Ben Grimm stands at the very top. In terms of power balance, the Thing is like Marvel's version of Wonder Woman. Not because he is as strong as she is, but because within his own universe, he is so powerful that people fail to fully recognize it. He is always placed beside a very small group of those who surpass him, which makes his own extraordinary strength seem understated. But when there is no one left to compare him to, Ben Grimm becomes an unmovable wall, a symbol of enduring power and the iron will of a true hero. The scene unfolds at a ruined research facility, a place where a gamma catastrophe once swept through and left scars that can never be erased. Amid twisted steel and scorched concrete, Doc Samson appears with his vivid green hair blazing like a living flame, his body surging with gamma energy that has never truly stabilized. Across from him, the Thing steps out of the rubble, his orange, rocky body coated in dust and fractures, his silent gaze that of a warrior long accustomed to merciless battles. Samson strikes first. His punches, charged with gamma energy, fly forward with extreme speed and destructive force. Ben Grimm absorbs them all with his living stone body. each collision sending shockwaves that cause nearby structures to collapse in a chain reaction. Samson quickly realizes that the opponent before him is not merely raw strength, but a symbol who has stood firm against Hulk, Thor, and even cosmic threats. In return, Ben understands that he is facing a Gamma being with intellect, capable of calculation and tactical exploitation. Doc Samson begins to change his rhythm, moving more fluidly and using his quick reflexes to unleash precise combinations. The Thing is slower, but every counterattack lands like a falling meteor, and the more he is hit, the tougher he becomes. Small cracks begin to appear across Ben's rocky surface, yet he remains standing in the storm of blows, not taking a single step back. This is the moment when his resolve is revealed most clearly. The Thing suddenly counterattacks, grabbing Samson and slamming him straight into the ground, turning the research complex into a massive crater. Samson forces himself back up as gamma energy erupts violently, his green hair glowing fiercely as his body pushes toward its absolute limit. The two charge at each other once more, their collision making the air seem to explode as the ground shakes violently. But instability begins to work against Samson, slowing him down as his breathing grows heavy. The Thing, despite being covered in cracks and injuries, continues to advance step by step, slow but unstoppable. With a final punch, Ben Grimm knocks Doc Samson down. Not through superior strength, but through endurance, iron will, and combat experience forged over a lifetime of never surrendering. Doc Samson is powerful, fast, and intelligent, but he lacks stability and experience in prolonged, brutal battles. The Thing may not be the strongest, but he is one of those warriors who cannot be put down. The more he is hit, the tougher he becomes. The winner is The Thing. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Follow me if you enjoyed it. That is today's video. Thank you very much.